You're all ready to start your virtual assistant business so that you can work from home. And then someone asks you if you're planning to form an LLC or if you'll remain a sole proprietor. And suddenly you're thinking, is the 9 to 5 life really that bad? Mama, I've got you covered. I've got my very own amazing attorney here today to give you the full scoop on what you need to know about business entities, contracts, trademarks, and more. And all in plain English. Plus, at the end of this video, I'll tell you how to get a totally free legal checklist for your business that will give you the most up-to-date information so that you can run your business with complete confidence. I'm Lauren Golden here with a new episode of Free Mama TV, showing moms like you how to start and run a successful freelancing business from home. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new episode of Free Mama TV right here each and every Tuesday. A few weeks ago, I brought my accountant, the amazing Megan Hernandez, onto Free Mama TV to talk all about numbers that go into running your business. We heard from you that you loved it and you wanted even more. So today I've invited my attorney into the conversation, the incredible Kailey Jacomet. Kailey is the founder of Brand Law Boutique, a trademark law firm, and she runs Contractista, which is your one-stop shop for attorney-drafted client contracts and policies for entrepreneurs like you. The best part is that Kailey is a real person, a wife, mom, and entrepreneur, and she makes all of the legal work understandable to ordinary humans like us. She's here today to help us make sense of all of our legal rights and responsibilities so you can run your business and protect your brand. Kailey, welcome to Free Mama TV.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, Kailey, so what's the first thing you tell people to do when they tell you they've started a business?
Well, starting a business is such an exciting thing, but the first thing that you really need to do is lay a strong foundation, and that means getting your legal ducks in a row. So this means first, choosing the proper legal entity. Second, making sure that your business name is available. Third, making sure that you have the proper contracts and website policies in place. And finally, separating your personal and business finances from the very beginning.
Okay, wow. So that sounds a little overwhelming and intimidating. So maybe we can break them down just a little bit.
Yes, I promise it's not that bad. So let's start with choosing a business entity. So usually businesses are choosing between being a sole proprietor or an LLC. So I'll dive into what each of those means. So first, a sole proprietorship is just an automatic form of business. You don't need to do anything to be a sole proprietor. You just are one automatically once you start offering services into the marketplace. Now, you may be required by your county or your state to register your sole proprietorship, but that is just a requirement that you need to comply with. You are a sole proprietorship automatically. An LLC is something that you need to form with your Secretary of State. This is a separate legal entity that is separate from you personally. So when you're operating as a sole proprietor, you are your business is you for legal purposes. An LLC is a completely separate legal entity. And the reason that you might want to think about becoming an LLC is this creates some separation legally from business liabilities and personal liabilities. And it can really go both ways. If your business is sued, you want to make sure that you're protecting your personal assets. LLC does cost some money up front, and these fees vary state to state, but it's a worthwhile investment to make sure that you have that legal protection in place. A lot of people ask, do I have to become an LLC right away? And the answer is, it's really about mitigating your risk. So it depends on what you're doing. The more risk that you have of being sued, the more that it benefits you to go ahead and become an LLC. I would say that it certainly never hurts to become an LLC. And as soon as you can afford those filing fees in your states, it's a good thing to get done.
Okay, that makes sense. So my new business needs a name. Are there any rules about naming my business?
Yeah, so this is something that a lot of people don't understand and they rush into too quickly. So if you are going to be using your personal name for your business, then you don't need to worry about that because your personal name is not trademarkable. So you're not committing trademark infringement by using your own name. But if you are going to be creating another name, an assumed name, so something other than your personal name, you want to make sure the name is available. And you do this by conducting a thorough search. Trademark law does not just protect identical names, but also confusingly similar ones. So you need to check for synonyms, spelling variations, and even phonetically similar words. I know that's a lot to think about, but in my 2020 legal checklist, I walk you through all the considerations that you need to be thinking about when you're naming your business, and we'll link that at the end of this episode.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So what about trademarks? Is that something I need to worry about?
So trademarks are important when you're really building a brand. So if you are building an audience, building a community, building a brand and working towards brand awareness, you may want to think about registering your trademark. As I mentioned before, whether or not you're focused on building a brand, you absolutely need to make sure your name is available before you start using it so you're not committing trademark infringement. But if you are building a brand and you're really investing in that brand awareness, you may want to think about registering your trademark to stop other people from using it.
That's fantastic. Okay, so now let's talk about the really scary stuff. Contracts. Do I have to have contracts? Does a contract have to be written by a lawyer? Can I just use something that I find online?
Yeah, so contracts are very important. They're really crucial to your business. A contract is like a roadmap for your relationship with your client. So a lot of people have disputes come up with their clients and they say, this or that happened, what should I do? A really well-drafted contract should predict that for you. So it should be a roadmap that if this happens in our relationship, this is how we've agreed ahead of time that we're going to handle it. And in addition, it creates legal rights that you wouldn't otherwise have if they weren't in that legal writing that you had agreed to with your client. So you want to make sure that you have a contract or a contract template that is written by an attorney. And the reason is that while it's not required that a contract be written by a lawyer, the enforceability of each clause will depend on how it's written. And an attorney is trained in doing that, so they're best suited to draft a strong and enforceable contract for you. You don't just want to take someone else's contract or take something that you find off the internet if you don't know who drafted it, because you're not going to know if it's complete enough to protect you in all the ways that you need to be protected, and you don't know if it's drafted properly and if each clause is going to hold up in court. And by the way, at Contractista, we have virtual assistant contracts. I know you offer one inside your course, Lauren, which is great. If you haven't signed up for the course and you still need one, again, we have an attorney drafted contract at Contractista along with many other niches.
Now, at the beginning, you mentioned website policies also. What is that?
Yeah, so not everybody has a website when they launch their business, but when you do launch your website, there are certain policies that you need to have in place. And those include your terms of use and a privacy policy. So your terms of use make certain disclosures that are required by law, that you need to be 18 or older to visit your site. If you're under 13, you can't visit the site. If you're under 18, you need parental consent, things like that. And they also make intellectual property notices to people who visit your website, meaning you're claiming copyright ownership over your images and over the content that's published on your website and things like that. A privacy policy is also really important. There are a couple laws. For example, there's a law out of the EU called the GDPR that requires that you make certain disclosures in your privacy policy. Now, a lot of people think the EU, I'm not doing business in the EU. I'm not a resident of the EU. Why do I need to comply with this law? But this law is actually so far reaching that as long as you have a website and someone who is in the EU could physically visit your website and join your email list, or if you have Google Analytics set up, you are collecting IP addresses. So if you collect the IP address from someone in Ireland, and what's to stop someone from Ireland from visiting your website, then you actually are required to abide by this law and have a privacy policy that is GDPR compliant. There are also federal and state laws that have certain requirements, and in the United States, there are many more states every year that are adding legislation. And so it's really important that you have a privacy policy in place that protects you and is compliant with these laws.
That makes a lot of sense. And you have policy templates at Contractista, right?
I do.
That's awesome. Okay, so great. So when I'm getting my business set up, should I also open a business bank account, or can I just use my personal checking account?
Yes, you should absolutely open a business checking account. And the reason for this is not just financial, but legal. Now, I should say, if you are operating as a sole proprietor, you are not required to separate your finances. But if you are operating as an LLC, you are. One of the requirements of an LLC is that you really treat it like a separate business. And if you are commingling your personal and business assets and you're sued and you claim the protection of the LLC status, the other side may try to say, well, actually, your LLC is basically a sham entity because you treat it like your personal house. You're writing personal checks out of it. You're going shopping, groceries, and things like that. So we are saying that the court should disregard your LLC status and regard you as a sole proprietor. And now you no longer have that protection of the LLC. So even whether you're an LLC or if you are just starting as a sole proprietor, go ahead and separate everything from the very beginning, because then later on, if you go to form an LLC, you're already in that habit of keeping everything separate.
Wow, Kailey, thank you so much. That was just so much information and so helpful. So thank you for coming to talk to us, but I have a feeling some people might want to talk to you even more. So where can they find you if they want to learn more about what we talked about here today?
So the best place to get in touch with me is in my private Facebook community, On Her Way Up. You can just post your legal questions there. And while I might not be able to give you advice on your specific circumstances, I can give you a response that leads you in the right direction. And it's a great community of women there. And we'll link below my website, contractista.com, where you can also get your 2020 legal checklist.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren.
All right, Mama, let's get you legal and legit so you can run your business with confidence. You can find the link to Kailey's 2020 legal checklist for your business and the link to her contract and template shop below this video. Also, if you want to join a community of mamas just like you, I have a Facebook group where thousands of mamas come together for support and action-taking tips and motivation. If you liked this video, please let me and Kailey know by liking it below, subscribe, and share it with your fellow mamas. And comment below with hashtag I am a free mama if this video helped you. Okay. Roll me now. Oh. No. Okay, I'm actually, so then I won't do this yet. I feel like my desks look like it's like in a different for this. I'm asking you like you're here. We could do like, or we could do like, I will be back with Kailey. Did you get a phone call?
Oh boy.
Life happens. Right? No, we're going just like straight across. Oh, it would help if the pop-up didn't come up in the phone. Okay. Settle down now.